So I joined at 9:20 and I was waiting for my turn. My turn came at 1 o'clock. So I was in that just phase and I said, good morning. They were like, no, Sreeja, it's good afternoon. After taking AceIPM, there was everything was at a place. And I didn't have time to go through all booklets and everything. What I did was I watched conceptual lectures. Main thing which helped me in my quants was the marathon fees, which AceIPM provided.
You might have already formed some unofficial groups of all the students who got into IIM Ranchi. So, do you see or do you feel like that extracurriculars has been a common trait amongst all your peers, or is it something which can also be overlooked if in case you are doing well in the other components of the admission process? Hey folks, Aksham this side from AceIPM. Today we have with us Sreeja from IIM Ranchi. She's here to share her experience of getting into IIM Ranchi, what were her preparation strategies that she followed, and your takeaways so that you can also get into IPM the next year and the subsequent years. So hello Sreeja, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, sure. So hello everyone, I'm Sreeja. I'm from Karimnagar, Telangana. I've had PCM in my 12th and I have scored 10 GPA in my 10th and 97.6 percentage in my 12th.
Okay, and you were a science student?
Yes, I was.
All right. Okay. So when was it when you got to know about IPM? When was it when you started preparing for IPM?
So I got to know about IPM last year and I started preparing back then, but then I dropped it off. And this year I started preparing, like actual preparation was from the moment I gave All India mock in ACE. There was this I realized at that moment that okay, from now I should prepare seriously. So yeah, from that moment.
All right, that's interesting. So since you mentioned you were a science student, so what was your motivation to get into a field like IPM, which is not very traditional, when we look at the options that you usually have like engineering? And since you were on a partial drop, you also were in a BTech college. So why this sudden shift from engineering to IPM?
Yeah, so first of all, I was not that interested in engineering right from the beginning. It was just because of, let's say, parental force or due to all these things. When I first came to know about IPM, it was the course which attracted me more towards it, the diversity in the subjects, everything. I basically love learning different things. So that thing about IPM was the first thing that attracted me. And later on, after knowing that, I came to search about what are the career options through this and all of that. And then I found that, okay, this is the right fit for me. And yeah, that's how I went for IPM.
Wonderful. So when we talk about the preparation bit, so, how did you go about preparing for the specific sections of IPM? I think you did give IIM Rohtak's IPM as well. So in that case, how did you go about preparing for quants, for logical reasoning, and for verbal ability?
Yeah, so first of all, for verbal ability, I have this strict timetable. Every day morning 2 hours, I would spend on verbal ability. And the things which I would cover during that time was idioms and phrases. I did idioms and phrases a lot because there are 5 straight questions right from it. So it's like a compulsory thing. So I covered idioms and phrases and I did editorials. And for a week, I choose some sections. For example, this week it's parageneral. And I would do a few questions on that type of, or on that model. So that's how I prepare for my verbal ability. And then coming to quants I followed AceIPM material, and I prepared for about 1.5 months or something like that. And I didn't have time to go through all booklets and everything. What I did was I watched conceptual lectures. I made my concepts strong. That was my first priority. And after building the base, I did the quizzes which were provided. And then I gave mocks. So I did mocks problems properly. And main thing which helped me in my quants was the marathon fees, which AceIPM provided. The number of questions or, the level of questions, those actually helped me in my quants prep. And then coming to LR, I was quite good at LR. Even in my first Rohtak mock, I scored around 120 in LR. So I didn't have much problem in that. Baki, yeah, that's it.
Cool. Awesome. So, as you mentioned, you were also preparing with AceIPM for this year's attempt. So how has your experience been with us in terms of your preparation, mentorship, and everything around that?
Yeah, it was like great. I mean, last year when I gave it, there was no proper guidance, and that's the reason I went for coaching this year. After taking AceIPM, there was like everything was at a place. The arithmetic, yeah, this arithmetic was very helpful for me. I was good at modern maths and algebra because I was from PCM background. I had some idea about it, but arithmetic, I was not like I didn't know anything about it, and especially the time and work lectures, those were very helpful. And as I mentioned earlier, for me the best part of the preparation was the marathon course. It made me consistent. It made my mindset change to this serious pace.
All right, perfect. So, you also mentioned about mocks. So, could you please shed a light on the number of mocks that you attempted? What was your usual strategy when we were attempting those mocks? You might have seen some ups and downs in terms of your marks. So, how did you cope up with that and made sure that you do your level best in the final attempt?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I have given all India mock, and from that I started attempting mocks. So I gave around 12 to 13 mocks per Indo, and I gave around 10 mocks per Rohtak. So my strategy for Indo was it was like I would go through all questions, whatever I was able to do in the first phase, I did them, and whatever needed few calculations, I did in the second round. And third round, I would just, if time left, I would try for something, and if not, I'll leave them. So that's the strategy I followed for all three sections. Coming to verbal, I would do RCs in the last. First, I would go through all other sections. All other questions, and after that, I would come back to RCs.
And how about parajumbles? So, did you choose to attempt them, or like did you ignore them completely, or how did you go about that?
Yeah, I had this habit of reading books, which made me good at parajumbling. I wouldn't attempt every parajumble because there are negatives as well, and it's theta type. So, and if I'm very sure about it, only then I would attempt the questions.
Okay, perfect. And what about MCQ?
MCQ, I'll begin with the last, like DI or LR set, because I think if you spend some time on it, if you're able to crack the code, then you will easily score 20 marks over there. So I would start with the DI or LR set, and then I'd come from back to top.
Okay. Also, another important component of your entire admission process is going to be the interview part. So, how did you go about preparing for it, and what was your actual interview experience at IIM Ranchi like? Was it very academic heavy, or did they ask you a lot about your extracurriculars, or how was it in general?
So basically, people have this thought that Ranchi's interview is more based on ECA. Yep. So I had the same thing. I have 2 national level ECS, so I prepared them. I prepared everything about them. I prepared about my state and general basic current affairs. I have prepared all of this. And when I went to the actual interview, they gave the time slot of 9:30 to 1:30. So I joined at 9:20 and I was waiting for my turn. My turn came at 1 o'clock. So I was in that just phase and I said, "Good morning." They were like, "No, Sreeja, it's good afternoon." And I was, oh shit, okay. In the chatting itself, it was something. And then, so they started asking me, why did your Indo interview didn't go well? And I said it was because of physics. I was weak in physics. And they started asking me questions from them. So there was no introduction, nothing about ECA. It was straight questions from physics. So I was able to answer a few. I didn't answer the other. And then they started asking few GK questions, static GK questions. And they asked me number of IITs and their names, which I didn't even look at. I didn't know how many were there. I prepared for IIMs, but I didn't prepare IITs. So I messed that up. And that was my interview. Only these questions were asked. There was no current affairs. They asked static GK, but no current affairs. So after that, I thought, okay, ab nahi hoga. I messed up many questions. So I thought, no, even if they'll take me, maybe in the second list, ab to nahi hoga. But after final result, I got selected in the first list itself. So
That's brilliant. And even if I recall my interview experience at IIM Rohtak, I did the same mess up of good morning and good afternoon. Yeah. The only difference being my interview was in person, so it was a lot more intimidating. But that's so wonderful to hear. I'll have a follow-up question over here since we talked about the extracurricular activities as well. You might have already formed some unofficial groups of all the students who got into IIM Ranchi. So, do you see or do you feel like that extracurriculars has been a common trait amongst all your peers, or is it something which can also be overlooked if in case you are doing well in the other components of the admission process?
Yeah, so I met batch size is very less this time, and I met few people who were not having any extracurriculars, but also there are most people who have extracurriculars, and now that doesn't mean they have national level, yeah, international level ka. It was just like even if they did something other than reading, like if they wrote one or two blogs, or if they are good in if they are learning music, even in that case they got selected if they are able to present it well in interview. I think the presentation matters more than which level you are ECA you have.
Absolutely, yeah. I share the same thoughts on the said topic. Also, do you have any final words for the future aspirants in terms of whosoever is willing to get into IPM, how can they be preparing and be in line and make sure that they get into IPM?
Yeah, I think the main advice I would like to give is be consistent. Okay, whatever course you are taking, even if you are doing self-prep or anything, just be consistent. Try to do verbal more, because if you are going for indoor, verbal plays do quants too, but verbal plays relatively a bit more important. Good thing. So yeah, just be consistent and focus on everything. Don't neglect anything. Also, do have backups, because we never know what happens in the end. So have good backups, and yeah, that's it. All the best.
Okay, thank you so much, Sreeja. And it was a wonderful interview. I am sure the future batches are going to get a lot of value out of this, and they'll be able to be your juniors perhaps after preparing for it. If in case you guys like this video, please leave a like, share this with your friends, comment down your questions. Sreeja will be there to answer them up. And that's it for today. Thank you. Stay safe. Good luck, and bye bye.
So now, how can we get you started? Go to AceIPM.com. Over here, you will see the free counseling button. Click on that, enter your details, and a future senior of yours from IIM is going to give you a call, and you can get all your doubts clarified from them.